Hello, welcome back to Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, we're gonna take a look at how we can create this canvas for the cross stitching pattern that I show you. So not this guy, but just we're gonna deal with the canvas. So it's looking something like this, and I'm gonna try to build it from scratch and show it to you. This is, you can say this is like kind of the hard way to do things. This is something that of course you can do it manually by hand, and then you can just simply use array modifier. And of course here I'm using array modifier as well, but at some point I will try to make the whole thing kind of procedural and not relying on this array modifier. Okay, so let's have a look at the canvas crisscross. It's looking actually pretty much something like this. Let me try to focus on this. So yeah, basically just two slices of mesh kind of on top of each other, and if we later bake it, it's gonna look something like this. And I can join it. I can just join these two together, and what's gonna happen is that once we have this and we kind of duplicate it like this and then rotate it, we're gonna get this canvas pattern that we can duplicate across. So if we just join them and merge them and then use array modifier, this is gonna be some kind of just like the canvas for cross stitch pattern. Okay, so let's get started. Let's see how I did this. So basically there's I don't know how I get here basically, but this is, I just kind of playing around, and then okay, eventually I end up with this guy up here. So don't worry about the bottom one. The bottom one is just like a flip. I just rotate it and stuff. But actually, let's just focus on the bottom one, not the top one. The top one is just you see, it's just rotated and kind of move slightly, but the bottom one is the one that matters. File, save as, and save it again because I might make some modification. So the bottom part is really just something that started from a plane, and I center it, I normalize it, and I make sure the x is 2 and the y is whatever number is coming in from here, because I can always increase this. If I change the multiplier and make it to like 2 or 1, you can see this is actually looking somewhat similar to this guy right here, except that it has kind of in and out. That's because this is the function for easing in, and I think this value is kind of doing from 1 to 0 and 0 to 1. This number goes down and goes up, so basically creating this guy right here. And I can always change it to different function, and it's gonna give us all kind of different result that we can use to basically to generate all kind of pattern actually. I think the one that I used was, what was this? Which one was it? No, this one? No. Is it not quintic? Not this guy. Oh, okay, this one. Exponential is in and is out. So that's the one we're gonna use. And I basically have control over this width. and I kind of squeeze it a little bit so I can, but just for sake for clarity, I just gonna show it to you like this. So what I use, so there's an easing function that goes inside the list repeater and list join and multiplier, all those to basically vector rewire is actually the one that's actually doing the job. Wonder if I can kind of, if I skip a node. See, that's the function. Actually, this is a cosine. Maybe instead of cosine, I should have used something like this, like a triangle wave. But it's, yeah, all of this kind of doing its job. You can see clearly. It's basically like a bunch of functions. So originally we get a linear. I'm using pi right here, and I can increase the pi as well to get the function to kind of doing like a multiple wave. So I'll show it to you. So this is with a single pi. If I'm using like multiple pi, we're gonna get like a multiple wave like that. So this can be useful for a lot of things, I guess. I don't know, this is just a play of this function right here, right? This is a cosine function. I should have used this guy right here. I think this is a better one. But yeah, anyway, I'm using the cosine, plug into this multiplier, and this guy goes into map range, and the map range goes into easing, and we end up with something like this that we can use for our canvas to make our cross-stitching pattern. Let me simplify all this. So like I said, I don't know how I got here, but I think it's kind of interesting anyway. It's just sometimes you just try things and then, okay, apparently you can make this just simply by using function. So this guy responsible for this shape, and if we kind of now turn on those two together, we have this thing that we can overlap and we can repeat. Let me quickly check. If we look at this guy from the front and look at, let's have another view and look at it from the side view, and if we kind of line it up together, they two should actually kind of overlap. Okay, since I made some changes, I think they're not touching anymore. I kind of want them to be touching. Maybe I should move it up or down. Yeah, I believe it's something like, probably something like this, or I should have should not make changes around here. Oh, actually more. Yeah, I think it's more or less like this. So if I bake them and duplicate them, they're gonna connect with each other. So this is how I set everything. So we got these two, and I'm just gonna combine the two. I don't need to join them. They're like two separate parts, but then I can use array. Oh, actually, before I use array, I need to make that kind of crisscrossing pattern. Should be like that. This guy is like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. join them together, go to edit mode, remove double, merge the distance, and it removes 8 vertices, so it's correct. So now they're kind of, they made this kind of four-sided things that can work if we use an array and then turn on merge. This guy will create a nice canvas pattern for our cross stitching. There you go. That's how we made it. You can yeah, of course this part can be done using Sverchok add-on and adaptive edges, but or maybe you can use a tissue add-on as well. This is a really good setup for that. And I'm using solidify. I think at the very top I can do that. I think the merge should work perfectly if we increase the value here. So merge, and then we can smooth it. Okay, maybe I didn't, maybe I missed to do something, but anyhow, this is the idea. So the whole thing, the whole setup, you can of course do it by hand, but this is like the hard way to do it. If you're doing it the hard way, you can easily make changes of all of this using just functions. I guess, yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. It's not normal, it's not usual, but it might be useful for you at some point, and you can actually perhaps make more elaborate kind of pattern using this setup. So I might actually continue with this and then try to make it work with the adaptive polygons. So with this guy, we can kind of apply this weave pattern into 3D objects. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.